Everyone, it's Mike Lanning working with Keller Williams, Southern Tier and Finger Lakes. Today it's my pleasure to be at 219 West Main Street, Montour Falls, and I'm here with Dr. Robert Berry, chiropractor. How you doing, sir?
Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you. So I don't know a lot about your practice. Talk to us about how long you've been here and so forth.
Sure. I've been here 20 years now, hard to believe, right on Main Street here in Montour Falls. I was the only chiropractor here for quite some time. I feel like chiropractic was just meant to be for me, and I just couldn't wait to hit the ground and start running with it. I'm happy to be in a small community. And I think that's what makes it more of a personal touch here, which is what we offer here in the office.
Are you from the area?
I am actually not. I am from Oneonta,
Oh.
but I have family in the area. And so I moved here to be a little bit closer to my sister, who's kind of in and out of Trumansburg, Ithaca area. So it's nice, and then recently parents have moved closer, so now the whole family's here in the Finger Lakes.
Great. And I was just going to say, being in the Finger Lakes is not a bad thing.
Just heavenly.
Yeah.
Heavenly. Hard to leave, hard to leave.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime resident and I love it. I wouldn't go anywhere else, and I think a lot of people that move here feel that way.
Sure.
After a certain amount of time. So tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, what are the services that you provide here?
Well, that's a long list, but to really break it down, one of the things that we do is we always start off by taking films of patients. So we're just ultra thorough in here. We always do a thorough history, an exam. We're very exact with numbers, so I do measure everything in tenths of millimeters and degrees.
It's data driven.
It is data driven. Digital ranges of motion. But we always try to figure out a baseline of where somebody's spine actually is, so we can then figure out where we need to take it to correct them and help them.
So I'm curious about symptoms, and I've never been to a chiropractor.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, I've never needed to.
Okay.
So when would I know? I mean, a lot of people out there might be thinking, when do I go to a chiropractor, and do I ever need to, and when will I know?
So I think that's a great question. I would dare say that the majority of society thinks that they need to come to a chiropractor when almost all else fails. So they've experienced things like headaches and neck pain, low back pain and sciatica, and they may have tried things like physical therapy or pain relievers, maybe even injections. The big thing with chiropractic is it's such a more or less an occupation that can really be more proactive for people. So I try to compare it to like going to a dentist or orthodontist. So we generally don't wait until our teeth fall out and then finally go get our teeth checked. So I don't think we should really be waiting until the pain shows up and then finally go do something about it. I think, be more proactive about it. And so with that being said, it's a great way to start as soon as you hit the ground running when you're finally out of the crawling years. You have gravity, slips, falls, bicycle falls, traumas from sports. You learn to drive, fender benders. People around here, big thing, are four-wheelers, jet skis, tubing, skiing, snow skiing, not to mention just hard labor. And so we shouldn't wait till everything degrades until we finally get checked. I think we should be checked very young. Whether you need care or not, who knows? But at least have your spine checked to find out what the integrity of the spine is, and are you at future risk for injury?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I have a sister that was early diagnosed with scoliosis. Had to wear the brace.
Sure.
Thank God. I mean, it happened when it happened in terms of her being seen by a professional that could recognize this needed to be addressed. So that's just one of many issues. I'm curious about one of the myths that people have. My mom always tells me, don't crack my knuckles, you get arthritis. I told her a long time ago, I played golf with a guy 100 years ago that was in his final year in chiropractic college, and I asked him, I said, is that true? And he said, well, his theory, he was a senior, so maybe he's wrong, but he said his theory was if it feels good, do it. I want to know what your take is.
Sure. So that noise that you actually hear, a lot of people have a misconception that that's actually bones cracking.
You're right. It's
Okay.
gas, isn't it?
It is. It's a gas release. It's, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and some nitrogen. And so that goes through a range or depolarization such that you can't get that release right after you do it. So some people would say, wow, you're just really inflaming the synovium in the joint and that particular fluid. There are now YouTube videos of the actual release of gas.
Okay.
And it does not cause arthritis.
Okay, well, thanks. I feel better because I can't stop.
No, it does not cause
Okay, that's
arthritis.
good to
That
know.
is a myth.
All right. So moving along with what you have here, as I walk through, and I'll have some video footage
Sure,
of it.
yeah.
I was completely blown away when I walked in here.
Yes.
It kind of is a quasi gym almost. Tell us about what you do that's unique about what's different about your practice than everybody else.
Sure. So we really focus on a particular technique called chiropractic biophysics.
Okay.
And so what that is really looking at the body as a whole, finding out where we're starting from, but more or less finding out, where your head is in relation to your mid-back or thorax, where your thorax is in relation to your lower back and hips and pelvis, in relation to where your feet are. Now, I know that sounds like this big global approach, but that's truly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless if you have symptoms in your lower back, we might check your mid-back and neck to see if that's actually contributing to that. At the same token, we might check your feet and knees in relation to your lower back. We do have lots of equipment that's out there, and that's kind of the corrective care approach. So the majority of care that's out there is what we would call patch care, which is most offices are trying to just relieve your symptoms, increase your ranges of motion, so you're moving better. So obviously if you're moving better with less pain, people are happy. People are happy with that.
And you were saying before we came on camera that it's kind of like if you feel better, you think you're good, and that's
right.
not necessarily true, right?
It is not. We were joking about you and I could have a poor diet, and over time our arteries are clogging, yet we don't feel them clogging, yet the very first sign and symptom we possibly feel could be
A heart attack like I had.
like a heart attack.
Yeah.
0 symptoms?
Right.
Did you have
Right,
symptoms?
until 10 minutes before it happened, none.
Right, and that's unfortunate. Glad you're here so we could do this.
Thank you.
But at that same token, here we are saying, well, I feel good, therefore I must be good. What's really unique again about this office is we're not only going to look at your posture, we're going to take x-rays to see inside the body, we're going to correlate it to your posture, and we're going to figure out a plan to correct something if in fact it needs correction. So it's a different approach in that this sort of care is very similar to like an orthodontist. So you can't brush your teeth straight, but a lot of people get braces on the teeth to help change their alignment, which cuts down on, say, bacteria and other issues that are challenging to the teeth. With the spine, when you are out of alignment, some people call that subluxation, some people call it other names, but when you're out of alignment for a long enough period of time, bones and discs break down. And so you might not ever feel that until you're at the end stages of breakdown.
Right.
And so just as you were talking about a family member with scoliosis, it's that same concept. The earlier that is detected, one, the more correction you can get, and two, now you can have a healthier life as a result of that.
So, and I see over here the 4 phases of spinal degeneration. Is that something that you could get an early look at and work to do some preventative things?
Absolutely, and the whole point of taking films first is to find out where are we on that timeline of degeneration. So a picture tells a story. Another example would be like if your car sounds awful and it ran horrible coming here, and you took it to the mechanic saying, could you please fix this, but don't pop the hood.
Right.
They'd be looking at
Doesn't
you
make
with 4 eyes.
sense.
Right, it doesn't make sense at all.
Right.
So that's how important it is to have films first, to find out where are we even starting from.
And over time. Continue
over
to
time.
do that. What would you recommend to the public in terms of how often, well, first how early, you said it doesn't hurt to come in early
Sure.
as a child, and then how often after that for an average person would you suggest would be good?
So it's hard to figure out exactly, how often somebody should come in until the initial exam is done with films. I can tell you today there was a 5-month-old baby that came in.
Wow.
So again, earlier the better. I think as soon as children are upright and active and running, that is the ideal time because they can at least stand and stand still long enough to get films done.
Right, sure.
So I just think a picture's worth 1,000 words, and so, you know, and that whole zone at the same time you're getting your teeth checked is about the same time you should, at the bare minimum, start getting your spine checked.
Okay.
After that, you can kind of determine, you know, where we're at, because understand, like, the integrity of your spine is going to be different from mine.
Sure.
So maybe you need less care.
Right.
Maybe I need more. I have no idea, but the pictures tell the story.
So really, it's knowledge, knowing ahead of time. It means a big difference between how people will react to treatment later, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. So one of the things that I can tell you folks right now is talking to you, it's pretty obvious that you like what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it comes through.
Sure.
So talk to us about what you like best about your job and your career.
Sure. I think probably the best part is when people come in. Unfortunately, I get them at the tail end of their healthcare options. So they're often full of pain, less function, and I would say borderline depressed because they've been everywhere and nothing's working. And so to see that transformation of somebody going from I am literally hopeless to holy cow, I'm gardening again. I'm playing golf again. Yeah, life impact, where you get to live life again and without restrictions and not catered to just drugs or I can only walk for 10 minutes before I have to sit for 30. To just have zero restrictions, I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Yeah, so I think that's what makes me tick. I would say the down part, if there is such a thing, would be, you know, it is at times overwhelming when people are coming in so depressed. And that rubs off on you. And you really just don't, you really hate seeing them like that. And so you obviously don't want them to be like that. So it kind of drives you at the same moment, like, I'm going to explore every option to try to help this individual the best we can. And I think that when you go that extra yard, it comes back to you at some point, whether it's a referral or a review, whatever it may be.
So I think it's ironic too that in the midst of that frustration that you say is a challenging part of your job comes your holistic approach, which we talked a little bit about as well, in terms of you don't just treat a symptom. You try to take the holistic approach, kind of like me as an educator. I know that for a kid to come to the table and learn effectively, they have to be mentally prepared.
Right.
They have to have good nutrition.
Sure.
They have to have good discipline. There's a lot of things that go into learning. Same thing with this. And
Absolutely.
I love the approach that I can just feel when I'm in here.
Great. Yeah, no. So when many people come in, obviously we're looking at the structural point of view, but I mean, nutrition is huge. And so we have an article of the week we hand out every week. It's generally on something nutrition-wise. We have a lot of farmers and local people with produce, so we try to get everyone to more or less buy local and just, you know what, I kind of jokingly say it, but the name of the office is Advanced Family. We say keep it in the family. You don't always need to go somewhere else, whether it's for beef or some people who eat pork. I mean, there are people that raise all that locally, and you know how it's been brought to that particular point to actually access that. And so we encourage not just nutrition but exercise as well, and obviously trying to get people off of drinking say lots of soda and converting more to water and just making better healthy choices as a whole. And that does not happen overnight.
No.
And that's okay. And we just try to work with people, like, let's make some healthier changes where it might help with even just your inflammation that you're experiencing.
Baby steps, yeah.
That's right, and that's okay. And so it is that family approach, and we just go at it a little bit at a time.
Well, that really leads into one of the things that I've asked all the businesses that I've interviewed. And I know this isn't just a business to you, it's obviously a passion, but I'm really supporting small business only. That's my goal, is to promote small businesses
great.
and local businesses.
Awesome.
And you're certainly a part of that, obviously. obviously. And any thoughts on that in terms of, I think you kind of already said it, buy local, that's important.
I just think it's great. Coming from a small town, I remember leaving Oneonta saying, I will never live in a town as small as Oneonta. And here I am in Montour Falls. And I just remember like the community, more or less, it's like the spirit of community in a sense where people are always here helping each other. I think the bigger you go, more people are becoming standoffish. But keeping it local, people are more apt to help you when you ask for help. They'll know somebody that knows somebody. And I think what you do here is fantastic for small business. I think just even being on Main Street here in Montour Falls is really wonderful. People are here to support each other. And I think that's what makes it feel like home. So, I know people say it's a little bit of a cliche when you go to work and it doesn't feel like work. But when you see those kind of changes and people helping each other, I mean, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, well,
I have that feeling all the
I
time.
can honestly say from my experience, that's the way my career was too. It was, they paid me to do something I loved to do, and I was making impacts, and so I definitely can relate to that.
That's what I
Dr. Bob, any goals?
Well, I would say one of my goals is I have 2 children. Obviously, whatever they choose to do is up to them. If chiropractic is in their future, it sounds like it may be. My wife's chiropractor as well, so maybe one of them will take over the office someday. I have a niece that's starting chiropractic school here in September. So obviously, either getting her on her feet or supporting her or at least guiding her to do this type of corrective care, which I'm sure she will be wonderful. So I think, continuing the small family, small town legacy would be wonderful.
That's great, great. What do you like to do when you're not working?
I do fish and hunt. I coach a lot of soccer.
Do you?
I played
That's
soccer
big here.
forever. Soccer is getting huge.
It is big here.
My son plays for the state team. He's on 3 different travel teams. My daughter plays soccer as well as lacrosse. So I coach her, I coach him. Because I play so much, I enjoy kind of giving back in that regard. So, the competitiveness of even coaching them kind of flows through whether I want it to or not. So I do enjoy that. I enjoy watching them grow and playing sports, but more or less being active and taking care of themselves as well.
There again, family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's been great getting to know you, and I appreciate your time. Could you tell the address and phone number again?
Sure. So we're Advanced Family Chiropractic. I'm here at 219 West Main Street in Montour Falls. The phone number here is obviously 607. It's 535-7080. And obviously people call, and it's a free consultation. So if people want to come in and just check it out and see if this is a place that they're comfortable with, they can do that as well.
That's good to know.
Awesome.
Also, if you're a business and you're seeing this video on Park Bench or on Facebook and you'd like to be interviewed, please either give me a call at 607-351-2070, or you can message me on Facebook, or you can go on Park Bench and do a request through the site. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Also, don't forget that you can check out all of the business videos on parkbench.com. Type in Horseheads, Elmira Heights, or Elmira. And don't forget, if you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell real estate, please have them give me a call at 607-351-2070. And last but not least, thanks to our production manager, Holly.